Welcome to this week's installment of Colonial Sports Center. I'm Greg Sutton.
And I'm David Szymanski, and on this week's edition of Colonial Sports Center, it's highlighted by the RMU Invitational that the volleyball team had here at home, as well as some highlights from the soccer games and the football game. But also on the show is a lot of discussion about the fall sports to see where they are headed into conference play.
Absolutely, David. And I'll sit down with three of our very own analysts tonight to talk about a couple of fall teams that are kind of getting ready to jump into that conference play, and they're going to talk about what they kind of expect for the rest of the season from those teams.
And then after you go over what happened with Robert Morris football last week, I'm going to sit down with Nick Hederick to talk about how the team's going to approach conference play, which starts this weekend.
And David, why don't we just start off with that game that happened last week? It was supposed to be played last Saturday against James Madison University, the number 2 ranked team in the country, but they decided to move it up to Thursday last week because of the imminent threat that Hurricane Florence had on the area around James Madison. So they decided to try to keep everybody safe. So why don't we jump into the highlights from James Madison versus Robert Morris. All right, Colonials Dukes, here we go. Ben DiNucci here, big handoff to Marcus Marshall. He's going to take it to the near sidelines, break a quick tackle there to the 10-5 and in. He ran for 95 yards in the night, Marshall did. Next, we're going to jump into the second quarter. We're going to see what happens here. Ben DiNucci kind of getting into trouble. He's getting into, oh my, he escapes the pocket. Couple of tackles there that should have been had. Ben DiNucci will take it up the sideline, juke out a defender, breaks the tackle, and DiNucci touchdown. DiNucci actually started for Pitt last year, so that's kind of a cool thing where he ended up at James Madison. Another big run here. Percy Ajayi-Obis, touchdown. That was his longest run of the night of 80 yards. A big run there by James Madison University. Not a great look here by Robert Morris, but maybe the third quarter will hold something new. And here we're going to see Marcus Marshall showing off his power again as he breaks a couple tackles at the line and uses his speed to break up the far sideline, 40, 30, 20, and eventually into the end zone to make it 58-0 James Madison. The Colonials would eventually fall 73-7. Colonials actually able to score a touchdown towards the end of the game with Terrence Stevens with his touchdown. Tim Vecchio had 3 catches on 52 yards, and Adam Wallett had 7 tackles on the defensive side. Ben DiNucci, Pitt's starter for a couple games last year, went 14 for 17 with 184 yards, and had 3 passing touchdowns. Marcus Marshall had a big night as well with 6 carries, 95 yards, and 2 touchdowns of his own.
And we just saw how the Colonials finished up their non-conference schedule. And as they head into conference play, I'm joined by Nick Hederick, and I've got to ask you right off the bat, that non-conference part of the schedule, was it successful? They went 1-2, falling to the number 2 team in the country there right at the end.
Well, I'd say it was successful just for the purpose that they played teams that were really good and they got experience against teams that were really good. And they did win a game out of it. I mean, they beat Virginia State. It was a good come-from-behind victory. I think it said a lot about this team. I mean, the weather was bad. They weren't playing well, but then in the end, they kind of rallied together and got that victory. But the Dayton game was big, too. I mean, last year was the first time they had beaten Dayton in 17 years, and they scored 28 points against them. That was the most points, I believe, in like 3 to 5 years, somewhere in that range. So, I mean, there were a lot of good takeaways from it, and they played really good teams and got that experience.
Right, and they got that momentum going. The offense looked better than it ever has, and maybe that's thanks to the new coach, Bernard Clark. But after building that momentum, then they went on and they did lose to the number 2 team in the country by quite a big margin. So what is their mindset heading into conference play? Do you think that they still have that momentum going?
I think there's still a lot of momentum here, yeah. I mean, they played the number 2 team in the country on short notice due to the Hurricane Florence coming in. I think they have to have a positive mindset, and I know Coach Clark has a positive mindset going into this. I just talked to him the other day. I think their spirits are really high. They know it's a tough portion of the schedule, but I mean, why not be confident? I mean, they start off against Bryant, who is a very good team. They're the best offensive team in the entire conference right now, but they haven't played the level of competition, I guess, that Robert Morris has, and I think there's no reason they shouldn't be confident heading into this game.
Yeah, and so after Bryant, then they go on and they're going to play CCSU at home, which will be very entertaining, and then they go into inner-city rival Duquesne. So these next 3 games are big. So looking at that on the macro level, what should we expect in these 3?
I think, realistically, 3 losses. I would like to see a win, but I mean, this is just really good teams. These are arguably the best 3 teams in the conference. I mean, Duquesne's 4-1 right now. Central Connecticut State won the conference last year. They returned a lot of starters. I was just talking to Logan Carney about that. And I mean, Bryant's leading the conference in offense, as I just mentioned right now. I think realistically they might lose every game, but I think...
Right, and And I could see that being an outcome, and certainly a win or two would be awesome. And a big part of that's going to be the offense and Jimmy Walker.
Right.
He's been a great quarterback, setting records like we said in that first game, more points than we've had in a long time. But he has thrown 4 picks in 3 games. So is ball security going to be one of the big things?
I think it absolutely has to be a focal point. They cannot be turning the ball over, especially because the defense has struggled so much. I mean, they're last in the conference right now. Their rush defense has not been good at all, really. I think keeping the ball when they do have it is key right now. And I mean, it's always key, but I think right now against these really tough conference opponents, this really tough stretch of their schedule, it's even more important.
Right. Well, thanks, Nick, for giving us an insight into this big part of the schedule for RMU football as they go on to play 3 big conference games. But now we're going to go back over to Greg, and we're going to talk about the volleyball tournament that the Colonials hosted this past weekend.
Thanks, David. This past Friday night, Robert Morris Volleyball hosted its annual invitational at the North Athletic Complex in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. This will be the Colonials' last chance to find their groove before they started Northeast Conference play. Robert Morris was able to defeat the Eastern Michigan in the first match of the RMU Sheraton Invitational. The Colonials were able to outlast and outperform the Eagles, defeating them in the 5th set with a tight score of 15 points to 13. With the help of Emma Granger and freshman Alyssa Hudak, RMU was able to start the Invitational strong. Granger led the offense with 16 kills and 2 aces. Granger and Hudak both had 2 blocks in the tight matchup. Hudak also had 2 assists and 18 digs in the match.
And in the second match, the took on the Houston Cougars. In what has been a season of perseverance for the women's volleyball team, they fell down early, 2 sets to nothing, in which they dug deep with the home crowd, and they ended up winning the final 3 sets to win the match 3-2. In the final set, they won 15-12. Leading the way was Emma Granger, who had led the team in kills and also had 4 blocks.
In the third matchup, Robert Morris was looking to sweep the tournament in victories, but the Mastodons of Purdue Fort Wayne would spoil that moment for the Colonials. Emma Granger once again would have 16 kills in 2 digs. Ali Yurkovich had 12 digs, while Whitney Brown, the big contributor in the set, with a total of 39 assists, but Nicole Rittenauer had 13 kills and 8 digs for the Mastodons of Purdue Fort Wayne.
The Robert Morris men's soccer team has been trying to find their identity early in the season. Having not won a game yet, they hosted LaSalle this past Saturday, looking to find any sort of momentum before Northeast Conference play begins, despite no wins. They lost many of their games this season by just a goal, and it seems as if they're inches, not feet, away from playing really good soccer. And here the Colonials are hosting LaSalle, and the rec center's right back there, and it's great when they're at home. They always typically play better there, and looking for their first win, that's big. And you see that in net right there. That was Winter Fondy making great saves. He played a really good game, and defense is obviously key when a team is struggling. And right there, you're going to see them. They're trying to get on board, and they can. It's a scoreless first half, and as we go into the second, the Colonials are looking for something to turn their season. And right here, Gilliam Fink scores his first goal of the season on just his 3rd shot. A new face for the Colonials coming up big to really propel them to their first lead late in the game all season.
That's going to be a tough break for that goalie. It looks like a slow-rolling volley just out of reach of his hand, so that'll be a tough break for the LaSalle goaltender.
Right, he just missed it, but the Colonials are going to end up in this game to the end. In their best showing of the season, the Colonials outperformed LaSalle in nearly every category. Winter Fondy played a perfect game in net, shutting out LaSalle and paving the way for the first men's soccer win of the season. This was exactly what the team needed to get them ready to play inner-city rival Duquesne.
But, David, we have a lot more to talk about tonight, a lot more discussion to have. I have to sit down with 3 of our analysts to talk about the rest of the fall sports, but we also have a ton of highlights to talk about still.
We do, absolutely. And also the women's hockey team, who was one of the best teams on campus last year, they're going to get started here pretty soon, and I've got a little bit of a preview of them.
Absolutely, and you're not going to want to miss it here on Colonial Sports Center.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Robert Morris is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. And Greg, I think it's time to talk some soccer.
Absolutely it is, David. And the Colonials traveled to downtown Pittsburgh this past weekend to face off in a Steel City showdown of sorts. And they would play Duquesne Dukes at their home field of Rooney. And Robert Morris has not defeated Duquesne in 2 years, so they were kind of looking to change that around. The closest they came was in double overtime last year. So why don't we see how the Colonials fared at Duquesne University? Colonials Dukes, the Steel City showdown. Here we see tied up to the 28th minute of play. Goal Colonials, big goal there by Owen Pierce for the Colonials. Duquesne not too happy about that one, but Duquesne will try to move its way down low near the net. Big save there by Winter Foney, diving, blocking, and covering the ball, making sure he has plenty of time to recover off the save as well. Now we'll jump into the second half where things got pretty exciting. Here we see Duquesne and Robert Morris tied up at 1 here with 42 minutes left in the second half. A lot of ball movement here by Duquesne. Long shot on the ground past Winter Foney. That'll be a goal by Noah Meta. Now we'll see Duquesne moving the ball around again. Robert Morris trying to play a little bit of defense. Big save there by Robbie McKelvey of Duquesne. Now we'll see Duquesne attacking again. 2-1 Duquesne. And a big save there. Oh, and a goal there by Rob Diamond. Diamond scored 2 of the goals in the game for Duquesne. The first one and the last one. The Colonials will be searching for that win again next season. The Dukes overcame the Colonials again by scoring 3 second-half goals. Rob Diamond scored the first and last goals for the Dukes. Owen Pierce was the only Colonial able to find the back of the net. Robert Morris was outshot in the 90-minute contest. Duquesne was able to get 8 shots, while Robert Morris was only able to hit the net 4 times.
The women's soccer team continued their non-conference schedule by hosting a struggling Akron team this past weekend. This was an opportunity for the team to get a home win and extend their streak to 2 games in a row. Could they do it with the help of their potential NEC first-teamer, Jane Schleicher? They could not. The final tally was 3-1 in Akron. But the game was closer than the score would indicate. The Colonials matched Akron in shots on net at 13 apiece, but just could not find the back of the net enough. Scoring the lone goal was the star forward, James Schleicher.
Robert Morris women's soccer hit the road and went to New England to play the Yale Bulldogs in New Haven, Connecticut. Yale was undefeated at home when the Colonials rode into town with 2 wins and no losses. But the Colonials were looking to change that with a win on the road. Now we'll jump to Bulldog territory as we see a corner kick here from Yale. They're going to try and center it up, and a big header there by Robert Morris to poke it back out of the zone and out of danger. Now we're going to see the Colonials taking their time, trying to get this their own first goal, while Yale's up by 2. Here, we're going to see Colonial really moving the ball around. but a big save there by Yale Tendy, Alyssa Fagel. Now we'll jump to the second half of play, where Robert Morris is still looking for their first goal. A header to the side, near side here. Robert Morris trying to figure out how they get it in, and they're moving the ball around really well, trying to get some passes in. Really good ball movement here. Colonials get down low, pass across, and it will be a goal by Taylor Berkeley. That would be her first goal of her season here at Robert Morris University. And then a big save by Julia Schmid for Robert Morris. But now we're going to see another big play here. Robert Morris trying to tie it up with 2 minutes left in the game, but it looks like they would not be able to as that one rings off the post. Yale would stay undefeated at their home pitch. Robert Morris would drop the match after the Bulldogs of Yale were able to score 2 goals in the first 9 minutes of play. It took the Colonials around 72 minutes before they would be able to answer back, with sophomore Taylor Berkeley scoring with Brittany O'Connell on the assist. Yale took 24 shots with only 25% hitting the net, while Robert Morris took 9 shots and hit the goal with 33% of the shots. They will play again tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the North Athletic Complex.
Last year, the women's hockey team grabbed national headlines by winning the conference and playing the NCAA tournament. It was a team led by one of the all-time RMU greats, Brittany Howard. She graduated along with many of the other core players. As this season starts, it will begin with the same hype. The women are picked to finish second in the conference, but questions remain, like who will fill the skates of Brittany Howard? What will the identity of the team be? The first look at the team will be in their exhibition against the University of Ontario this Friday, just a week before they begin their regular season play.
Last season, the Robert Morris men's golf team finished second in the conference. With their sights on contending for another championship this season, they hope to head to Northern Kentucky to start their season off right. The starting 5 will be Max Palmer, Daniel Franco, Kyle Grube, Chase Miller, and my desk mate, David Szymanski. Good luck to you, David, and the rest of the team as you tee off for the start of your year.
Greg, that was great. They just had my picture right up next to you.
Absolutely.
And now I'm right back here.
It's not enough to have you sitting right next to me all the time.
I know. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun for the team this weekend to kick things off at Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, you kind of went to Topgolf, but we'll talk about that during the break here. And when we come back, I'll get to sit down with our 3 analysts that we've been talking about all night, and they have some pretty good takes on how a couple of the fall teams are supposed to finish up their seasons, so you're not going to want to miss it.
I was your above-average 4-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Robert Morris is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Back to Colonial Sports Center. Now the thing that I've been talking about all the way up to this point, I get to sit down with Adam Maluso, Logan Carney, and John Hanna. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight.
Of course, thanks for having us.
All right, so why don't we start off with a little bit of football? You guys each have your predictions and how you guys feel about the season so far. So, Adam, why don't you start us off and tell us what you think is going to happen the rest of the year?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb. I know the Colonials will pick, dead last to finish in the NEC, but I personally think they're going to finish 4th. I think that there's 3 teams, really, that you cannot touch in the NEC right now, even with an overall record in conference play not having started for RMU. That's Central Connecticut, Duquesne, and Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart is a bit of a shock to me. They're starting off 2-0, and Duquesne's as good as we thought they were going to be. They're 3-1. But I think that RMU's just going to get a couple breaks when it comes to playing a couple key teams. One is Wagner and St. Francis, but essentially it's a 4-way tie between Central Connecticut State, RMU, SFU, and Wagner, that all have 1 and 2 records. So I think that's a little bit crazy right now. Central Connecticut, I definitely think, will put itself apart from the pack. But those 3, I think, with SFU and Wagner not being so hot, you're going to get an RMU 4th place football finish for the new Colonial culture. And
Logan, you kind of look like you agree with a couple of things Adam just said.
I mean, I agree with a lot of things. I have 4 teams really that that I think are untouchable. Like you said, Duquesne, Central Connecticut, who returns more offensive starters than any other team in the league, and they conference, and they went undefeated in conference play last year. Duquesne, one of the better teams, 24th in FCS for offense last year, 42nd FCS, and they also return a good core for their players. And then Bryant, who has a phenomenal offense, but a little bit of a shaky defense, but a phenomenal offense, led by Price Wilson, great quarterback. But I also put St. Francis as sort of an untouchable team in that group of 4. St. Francis defense, last year, again, I like to use last year's stats because conference season hasn't started yet. 14.6 points per game allowed their defense, which was 5th in all of the FCS football. Now that they lost a bit, so it's not like they're going to be just as good this year. But the offensive line, very, very talented. Their offensive numbers can improve, and I think really that's why I have Rob Moore 6. Those top 4, I think, are kind of untouchable.
Now, John, why don't you tell us what you think about how football is going to do?
I have the Colonials finishing 5th this year because I just think that their offensive line, they have one of the best rushing offenses in the league right now, and also Jimmy Walker has been sacked only 2 times, which is one of the lowest amount in the league. And then I agree with them that Bryant, Central Connecticut, and Duquesne are some of the untouchable teams in the league.
Absolutely. So, gentlemen, why don't we skip over soccer here and jump right into volleyball? What do you guys think is going to happen? John, why don't we start down here with you this time?
All right. Well, I believe that volleyball will finish first. They're currently 3rd with they've won 6 out of 8, and they've won, they're 1 out of 6 out of their past 8, and they're really starting to hit their stride. As you mentioned earlier, they went 2-3 in the Sheridan Invitational, and their top 3 team overall in both hitting percentage, their opponent hitting percentage, and all their service aces.
Absolutely. Now, Logan, I know you're a big stats guy. What do you have on women's volleyball?
I kind of like the 3 players, last year with over 200 kills, and all 3 of them are back. And Emma Granger, of course, she recently started off the season a little bit, flustering. That's one of the big reasons why they started off 0-6. But since then, the team's 6-2 in their last 8 games. Emma Granger, certainly getting back. John brought up hitting percentage. Emma Granger 5th in the conference in hitting percentage so far in this. And Maria Alfano 10th in the conference. They have a good core of players that are young, and I have them winning. I said they win it this year last year, and I have them winning it this year again.
Absolutely. Now, Adam, I know you always have a good opinion, so why don't you tell us what you're thinking?
Well, I'm actually going to say that I think women's volleyball is just going to finish 2nd this year. And now, I'm not going to, don't get me wrong, I like where Emma Granger is. Some of these players have really great attack totals. She has 127 kills. And you take a look, Allison Londot is another one that I really think is good with 131 kills, and then Taylor Lord with 88. However, I think there's one team that the Colonials will not be able to overcome. That team is Bryant. They have a really good start right now, and I think that they're 9-7 right now. I think that they can eke out a win, but I think it's going to be competitive. Don't get me wrong, I think it's going to be competitive, but the Colonials will just fall a little bit short. Bryant, I say, claims the title this year.
And in all reality, it's kind of exciting to see what you guys think, because you guys are our analysts, and you guys love the stats and everything else. But I know for football, there's a couple things I'd like to say real quick. For football, Robert Morris has had trouble beating them on the road. They're very, very weak on the road, in my opinion. And it is nice to see a lot of talent returning for volleyball. So it's kind of exciting to see how that all goes in all reality. So why don't we jump to break? Me, Adam, Logan, and John. We're going to talk about this a little bit more off camera. But why don't we jump to break real quick? And when we come back, we'll touch up on what's coming up this week in Robert Morris Athletics.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Here at Robert Morris University, we pride ourselves at the experience that our students gain while they're actively learning in the classroom. Some even come back to share that knowledge with new students.
I never dreamed that I'd be back here. I'm having so much fun. I'm doing a lot of what I was trained to do and what I went to school for.
The Colonial Sports Network is a great opportunity for students to learn real job skills in sports programming.
To be able to see what the students want to make of it, because it can be anything that they want.
I love being here, seeing students, seeing myself in the students that work with me, and I'm really blessed to have so much talent to work with. It's really amazing.
To be able to see students become successful after Robert Morris is really cool.
Join the Colonial Sports Network team and expand your future today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
And that was the week that was, and a ton of those clips were great. You know, the volleyball had their home tournament, and wow, those points, the matches were really close. All those spikes, blocks, that meant everything.
Absolutely, David. I know I kind of covered it a little bit there, talking about, we both did actually. We covered all three games that they played, but seeing it in action is a whole different thing. Seeing how physical the sport actually is, the blocks, the spikes, the kills, stuff like that. It's just amazing to see what they do every day in and out.
In the long rallies. But last week was great. We just saw it, but let's take a look at what's coming up in Robert Morris Athletics and what games we've got on the slate for this weekend. So what jumps out at me, Greg, is that football game against Bryant, which we talked about earlier. What jumps out to you?
I mean, that football game especially, but I'm really excited to talk to you next week after this golf trip you guys are taking to northern Kentucky. So I'm always excited to talk to you after you come back, and pretty excited about that. So I'm looking forward to your season starting out.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. As you alluded to the other day, the team took a trip out to Top Golf, so I think we're ready to go. You know, that's some great practice, and we'll be ready for that.
A little bit of target hitting, absolutely.
Yeah, we're ready to go for sure.
I would like to personally thank all those analysts that we had on today: Adam Maluso, Logan Carney, John Hanna, and especially Nick Hederick.
It was awesome, and in the show, hopefully the audience got an idea of how these fall sports are going to be once they start conference play. But that's all we have for you tonight. Come back next week.